Well, here we are again, and for everybody that doesn't understand what happens here, again.
Yeah. Take two.
Take two, because the board op, yours truly, is just a retard today. Maybe it's because we're a little early.
Engineering staff. Yeah, no, you're not awake yet. There's something.
No, I'm awake, but I don't have as much hatred at this time of the. I think hatred makes me a little more focused.
It's a shame.
First time we're all back together.
Shame we lost what we just did because you were hating pretty good there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
we can recapture it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So in studio, we've got Alan.
Good morning.
You were in Vegas.
I was.
Still don't know why. I know you explained it in the first take.
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Family thing.
Mm-hmm.
Crunch, no street racing, no nothing going on. You're just here.
Just here, relaxing.
That's nice. I like having all three people.
Car guy.
Cooling out with the car guys.
And then, of course, we've got Thomas.
Thank you very much.
And you know the moron in the Subaru comments coming because we talked about you coming up the driveway.
Yeah, I know.
But it does have a distinct.
Go ahead, have at it.
They sound like somebody put the exhaust pipe underwater.
They actually do.
They have a weird sound.
You know what? You know why that is?
No.
Because the exhaust system, the header, two of the tubes are like 6 inches long and the other two are like 40 inches long. So it really accentuates the two pistons firing at one time. You know, you really hear one louder than the other. So it's like pull, 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 pull. And yeah.
I know zero about those things.
They have pistons in them and rods.
Okay.
Valves.
Yeah.
All the shit you know about.
And heads with camshafts that usually turn, right?
Exactly.
Usually.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Tom, you're fresh off the dyno, right?
Yes, I am. Made 414 to the wheels.
Wow.
Which is pretty good. I mean, it was a little disappointing. We were hoping for a little more, but there's more in it.
Okay.
We got
414 is still impressive.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's a fun drive. I think we got about 30 left in timing and boost, but we'll
30
we'll
horsepower in electronics you have to change?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
Like what?
Well, I have to get what's called a Cobb access port. We couldn't desensitize the knock sensor on open source tuning, so we can't put more timing in because it'll just pull timing out, whatever you put in.
Okay.
And we need a little bit more control of the boost controller.
Wow, so that's probably a 10-second car you just riding around.
Yeah.
Enjoying life with.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
And I mean, we did talk about this before, but I want to get a little further into it. My retarded friend Tad, Alan knows him, and you met him.
Yeah.
I don't think Crunch ever met him.
Yep.
He's a character. He'll be here at some point. And I could just see his face when he hears us. He'll be like, making some kind of
You know he's going to be listening within the next hour or two. So
yeah, probably. He had a Subaru. Now, when you talked to him, you said his was a 2.0.
Yeah, it's a 2-liter, and I don't know what kind of turbo he had, but the 2-liter guys usually have a 16G, which would make a max of like 300 horsepower, or an 18G, something like that.
I'm trying to remember. It's quite a while ago. I want to say it was like an FP green something.
Oh, if it was a green, then it's like a 20G, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, which would be really laggy on that.
Oh, it was tremendous lag.
Oh, yeah, terrible. And it's still probably
when that some bitch ran. When you spun it, it pulled.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the Subaru crowd likes that high RPM stuff, which makes no sense to me because it makes a car that's not fun to drive. Like you would hate it, Mike.
I would hate it
because it nothing down low, nothing at all, which is all the fun of a car, having power right there, and it takes all of it away. They make some power at like 8,500 when you can't really use it, and
you know where that's good. There's only one place that kind of power level is good: a 2-stroke dirt bike.
Yeah,
that's when it's fun.
Yeah,
in a car that you have to drive, that's awful.
And Ted's Subaru was exactly like driving a dirt bike.
Now that retard, he put in a aluminum flywheel.
You can't say retard.
Tad knows he's a retard.
Well, it is Tad. Yeah, it's true. It is Tad.
He had an aluminum flywheel.
Retard
carbon clutch.
Yeah, it's on the list.
It's on the list?
I'm forgetting the list. I'm going to say.
I see. You don't remember.
If you're going to have a list, put it on the wall.
It had an aluminum flywheel. It had a puck clutch. And we talked about this a little bit, but I think didn't it even have a locked center differential or some shit?
It had a locker in the rear.
Something was wrong with it because when you went around a corner, no. The worst thing is if you went around a corner, now the thing would hop.
Yeah, no, you know what that is? That's a broken DCCD.
A what? Who?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because
DCCD allows you to adjust bias between the front and the back.
Yeah,
and he had not all kind of issues, but that was one issue he did have because it was a Japanese spec motor in an American car, and the computers didn't exactly line up or something.
Yeah, so DCCD, when it's wrong, you get that. Like if you're backing up or pulling forward and you got the wheels turned a little bit too much, you get the like a spool. And
yeah, but this thing, we go around a corner.
Yeah.
And unless you jumped on the throttle,
Yep.
it would hop.
Yeah.
It would. And,
exactly what happens.
but that's my. And,
I've driven a car with a spool. I think that was worse.
yeah.
It is worse. It shakes the whole car.
Yeah.
I know
That's what
exactly what you
turns
mean.
you off about the whole Subaru all-wheel drive thing.
Tad's car. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, if
Because Tom's car looks pretty slick sitting outside.
it does look pretty good.
Well, and my stuff is pretty right. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't tolerate a car that you can't drive.
So you can drive this thing nice.
Yeah, I'll let you drive it. It's like a normal car
You want to drive it
until you get in it.
No, I didn't think so.
He just
And
doesn't
you-
want to be
you
seen.
sent-
He'd
right.
have to have the glasses and the nose and the mustache.
And you sent me a picture of you riding around in the Corvette
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
dash lights and everything. Were you showing off
No.
when you sent me the picture?
No, I was just I was frustrated, so I got the thing jump started, and I figured if the thing ran for a little while, and I actually did.
So he drove right to Branchburg High School.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually, I go to Hunterdon High School. It's a little closer.
Yeah, it's regional. It's a lot more
Yeah.
kids too. Yeah.
But no, I went for a ride and I actually got you guys are dicks. Yeah. And
that's on the list.
I got a battery
Yeah,
for it.
Right.
And I didn't put the battery in it because then I got the battery in it, and of course, like a jackass, I go to get a friggin' soda, and I stop in the Sonic drive-thru, and I'm just sitting there and I'm idling along, just let the clutch out, and what happened is the battery was so fucking dead that if the alternator came down a little bit and the voltage fell, the engine fell, car stalled.
Wow.
Like so, and it wasn't. I wasn't even starting to move. I think like the air pump kicked on or something happened. And the picture I even sent you was like kind of getting a little darker. It was starting to get towards evening.
Right.
So the headlights were on. I'm sure the electric air pump came on.
Yep.
Pulled the alternator down a little bit. And the car said, "Oh, I don't have enough voltage." Shut off. Son of a bitch! I had to get out in the drive-through line of Sonic, get out the boost box, jump start the thing, put it up, and I'm like, "This is just fucking ridiculous."
Well, at least you didn't have to have the kid from Sonic push you.
Yeah.
And what year is your vet?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Bright yellow, shiny.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great.
looks
It's fucking cursed.
He is the yellow vet guy.
Yeah,
You have two. You have two.
Yeah, the other one's
Well, it's the third, right?
Yeah, it is the.
now the other yellow. Oh yeah, I guess you want to count the 91 that never got finished. Tad was supposed to work on that.
Yeah.
and instead he's selling it.
Yeah, Tad and work.
Yeah. But it's funny going back to what you said. Well, let me go back to the Corvette battery thing.
Yeah.
Look, it has a warranty. After all the shit that went wrong with it, I have a very good warranty.
Right.
Like it should be when they look it up at GM, there should be a big fucking asterisk that lights up somewhere that says, "Don't fuck with this guy."
Yeah, take care of this guy.
Because he's really had a really hard time. So I called a guy. I said, "Look, dude, it's a dealer." I said, just want a battery. Talk to some service lady. She says, "Well, you're gonna have to talk to the service manager." So the service manager finally calls me back 2 days later and explains to me that they can't just take the car in and pop a battery in it. I said, "I don't even want you to. I would go out into the parking lot. I'm going to drive in. You're going to know the car's been running long enough. Look and see that when I turn it off, it doesn't restart. It's dead." Well, it has to go through a charging process. It's going to go out of GM battery analyzer. It's fucking dead. It's like it's puffed out.
Right.
Like it's probably a half-inch wider than it should be. It's dead. And he goes, "Well, we can't just do that." And I'm like, "You mother." So I bought a regular battery to put in the car. And like I said, I got to jump started and run it with a boost box. And I throw the boost box in the back in case I have another Sonic episode. Oh, there's another nice little thing. By the way, when the battery goes dead, you can't open a hatch.
Of course not.
Because you can't open a hatch, can't open the doors, can't open nothing.
Why? Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
Dilemma.
Yeah, because it's all electric.
Right.
So you got to pull a lever to get out of the car. You got to use your key up under the license plate to open the hatch. It's a circus.
Okay.
So the guy calls back from GM, says he can't do a battery. I said, "Well, you know what? Go after yourself. I'm going to buy my own I don't need your crap." So I bought a battery. It doesn't fit. It's the right battery
For the
but
car.
but it just doesn't really fit. It's the right
Okay.
group. It's the right this, the right that. And apparently that's something that happens with these, that there's kind of
Aftermarket battery.
aftermarket battery isn't quite right.
So you need an AC Delco.
Yeah. So now it's going to sit there for another month. I don't care.
Wow.
The guy says, "Well, you can bring the car in on Tuesday and we can check it." I said, "If I bring this thing in on Tuesday and I'm there for more than 10 minutes and you don't walk out and tell me you're getting a battery," I said, "I'm going to lose my mind." I said, "Everybody will leave your place."
He'll be blacking out.
Yeah.
Now
So-
you
Yeah, just tell me when you're going so I can be in another state.
I want to be in the parking lot with a GoPro. So I
now
want-
you and Tom are supposed to do a little race to make sure that everybody's horsepower was right?
I'm telling you, I don't think my thing's particularly good.
No?
No. And
he just thinks he got a bad one.
Yeah, but I mean, I said that to my brother. He's like, you're used to it. I was like, it never felt fantastic. It makes 500. It should feel pretty good. And it's not real heavy. It's not as light as a Z06. Brian's car is slightly lighter. My brother, he's got a Z06. And I guess mine has a steel chassis and his Z06s have an aluminum chassis. But
what does yours weigh?
I think it's like 32-ish. Yeah. And I think Brian's is like 31-ish.
Well, and it's 500 at the crank.
Yeah.
So we should be pretty close, actually.
I think you'll annihilate me. And not because of your magical all-wheel drive either.
No,
of
course not.
He's lighter.
No, you just think, no. I'm about 32.
No, those things
change.
they're
heavy.
Subarus are heavy.
They are heavy.
Wow.
But you just think yours is a shitbox.
Yeah, well, and
Well, that's what they made nitrous for.
yeah, okay.
Is this going to be a friendly race? I mean, you guys are going to be okay with this, right?
No, I just suggested to see how fast my car was.
Thing, though. You two have a thing. So
No. Normally, if I thought I had them, I'd be all over them.
Yeah.
Be like you and your fucking sissy, wedding party car.
Sissy's on the list.
Well,
No, Sissy can't be on the list.
this, I would do this with you just, to see, but I don't think mine's any good.
Well, I'm going to take it down the track anyway, see how fast it is.
Yeah, so you got to bring yours down just for the photo opportunity alone.
This falls into don't care.
Okay,
I'm really kind of done with that thing. I really,
I'll break it for you if you want.
As pretty as it is now.
It is a
I know.
pretty
You
car.
gotta
Great.
let's charge that thing up and ride a little bit.
I think
the weather would be good.
I think it
next
would look
week.
better with powder coated with black wheels.
I have powder coated black wheels down the building with tires on them.
Same kind?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, actually, they're the Heritage. That's the one that came with the anniversary package because that goes back into what GM did for me. When the motor blew up at 2,700 miles, and yes, I'm going to hate on GM because they wouldn't just understand the rationale that I need a fucking battery. I had to bring the car there and leave it for some magical tester to tell me it's bad.
Right.
I'm going to hate a little bit.
You have to.
When the
car won't start, dude.
When
You don't need a tester.
and then a guy says, well, they make a battery tender. I'm like,
Yeah. What I was going to say to you, because you let it sit sometimes all during the week,
agreed.
put the trickle charger
Agreed.
tender on there.
And the other yellow one that's currently outside,
Right.
that battery goes dead in like a week.
Wow.
If it's not used. So I know that's bad.
So
But-
you just have vets just laying around?
right. But this one sat in the garage all last year, and I got in it, pushed a button, started right up. So I figured no battery tender needed.
Right.
That was my experience. So why would I change anything? So I don't know what magically happened. I didn't have anything plugged in. I didn't change anything. But at 2,700 miles, a car that sticker price I think was 94 and change, motor explodes. And this, I'm wondering how deep I should hate here on GM.
Just have at it. What are they
You're
going
a
to do?
Chevy. You're a Chevy man now.
I am a Chevy man.
So you
That's why
can't
you bought a
hate on them
Corvette?
with so much because things happen.
All right, look, we're car guys.
We're car
okay,
guys.
so I mean, everybody, and I think even Alan, when you're driving down a road, you're gonna. Well, I could see him being a little aloof about this stuff. Because I've run a dyno and had race cars and done stuff, I look at every gauge all the time, constantly.
Right.
Yep.
I know what everything says.
I do the same thing.
When I drove that car back from the dealer, when I first picked it up, I looked at the oil temperature, I looked at the oil pressure, I looked at cruise RPM, I noticed how much throttle I had, I noticed how much swing there was in on throttle, off throttle, same RPM, like if you were just accelerating a little bit or decelerating, because that changes your oil pressure to see what kind of swing you have. I think it's bearing clearance where the crank moves.
Right.
I looked at a lot of stuff. I knew that thing like the back of my hand. A week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I had put like 600-700 miles on. I heard something that I didn't like. Called GM. They're like, no, they're noisy motors. Sir, you have to understand, this is like a race motor. You didn't buy a race. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to have that conversation with a guy on the phone, right?
Yep.
Like, you don't know what a race motor is, dude.
Told them something. And in retrospect, this is probably better that they handled it this way. It worked out better for me. So I called them up and I said, again, look, this thing's getting worse. And I said, now there's an oil pressure decrease. Now I got the oil temperature versus pressure talk. That when the oil temperature gets higher or when the oil temperature gets higher, you'll have lower oil pressure. I said, yeah, I know that. I said, but it doesn't matter if it's 200 degrees in the summer of oil or 200 degrees in the winter of oil, your oil pressure is going to act about the same. Well, sir, that's not necessarily true. I said, on what planet, buddy?
He didn't know that prior to this conversation,
I explained it
General
to him.
Motors used to send you motors to test for them,
I explained to him
So he
after
didn't
that
notice.
conversation that
unbeknownst to him.
I've done this my whole life. I know there's something wrong. My guess would be the odd noise that I hear is not it's not a rod bearing. It's not valve train frequency. It's crank frequency. Went through great details. I said, my bet is main bearing is going bad, and it's relieving oil to 2 journals, so you get some kind of, odd harmonic noise going on and off. There's a main bearing going bad.
Can I give you some advice?
Yeah.
What I usually say to those guys when I have a conversation like this, because you want to piss them off as fast as you can, I usually say, listen, dude, I forgot more about race engines than you'll ever know.
Wow.
And that usually sets them off a little bit.
I was trying to be nice because I just wanted it. Yeah, I just wanted it fixed.
Trying something new.
Okay, my bad.
So
Never thought I'd hear those words.
So the guy says, well, if you're really concerned, you don't have to bring it all the way back down here to Atlantic City. You could take it to a dealer out by you. I said, okay.
Thanks, partner.
Made the phone call. Probably might have talked to the same service manager. I said, I just need somebody to come out and listen to this. So the guy came out and he listened, and this is a guy from GM, and he's like, here's what I'm going to tell you. I hear something that isn't normal. He's like, because I've heard a lot of these. Now, they don't sell a ton of Corvettes. He's like, but I know they're noisy. And he's like, and they have like some weird valve train noise issues. It's something with lifter board dimension and how certain lifters bleed down more. So mechanical cam noise, race car guys get it. Everything's even, nice, mechanical.
Yeah. Right.
This thing, when it makes its lifter noises, it's like random and different sides and stupid. It just doesn't sound nice. Like you drive past somebody, I'm ready for somebody to say, adjust your valves, dickhead.
Yeah.
It's just,
Wow.
So the guy says, but that's not the noise I hear. And I said, I know. And he goes, well, here's the problem. It's not blown up. The oil pressure's still within spec. They're probably not going to do anything about it. And anything they're going to do to fix it, you're not going to want done anyway. He's like, drive the thing.
What were they going to do? Put Motor Medic in it?
No, I think they were probably going to.
What was that stuff? Mystery oil.
Marvel
Mystery Oil.
Now, wait a minute. I use Marvel Mystery Oil for a lot of stuff. I fog stuff with it. That's good.
I hate to admit, we at the shop when we were doing mechanic work, we did a Marvel Mystery Oil situation a couple times, and it worked to get the customer away from you.
I fixed Brian's $1,800 linear blueprint printer with Marvel Mystery Oil. The guy says you need a new guide rod, new bushing. It's all locked up. And I was like, I took Marvel Mystery Oil, ran up and down, and moved the head back and forth about 30 times, turned the printer on, everything came back to life. It's been like that ever since. But so finally it got to the point that now I would start the car up. My driveway is probably a quarter mile long. By the end of the driveway, the oil temperature would go from, let's say, 80 or 90 up to probably 160. Okay, so right there, that's, if you're generating oil temperature that fast, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, and I called the guy at Kerbeck again, and I said his dealer name, I don't care. And I said,
it's a lawsuit.
Nah, it ain't a lawsuit because it's all legit.
Right.
And I told the guy, I said, now I'm missing like 20 pounds of oil pressure. Oil temperature is coming up immediately to a very high level. And the guy's like, well, it's warmer. I said, we're going to have that conversation again.
Yeah.
Finally, I called him up. I said, okay, you said the spec was 10 pounds at idle is within the GM spec. It's either 8 or 10 pounds. I said, I think I'm outside the spec now. He goes, what do you have? And I was like, 0.
That's out of spec.
And he goes, what do you mean 0? I said 0.
Yeah, what part of 0 don't you get?
He's like, can you drive it down here?
Oh, sure, buddy.
I was like,
That's good advice.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I said, that thing, I said, no, I can't drive it down here. It's making so much noise that there's no way.
When we're in a dyno session for a race engine and you see that oil pressure go anywhere near 30, 20, everybody's like, I might want to shut that off.
Well, that thing,
Man.
and in fairness, I knew it was going bad.
And you drove it with 0?
Yep, and I drove it. No, I didn't drive it with 0, but I drove it when I made the call that he told me it was still within limits when it was 8 or 10. I said, all right. So I went out that night because I go out for a late night ride. I went up 31, got on 78, came down a long ramp from 31 to 78, coming back like east, looking down the road. There's nobody ahead of me. I'm like, okay, first gear, right to the wood, first, second, third, fourth. As soon as I got into fourth, nosed over. I'm like, all right, we're done.
That's that.
Yep, and that was that. And then I mean, nothing that you shouldn't be able to do with it. That's why you buy the car.
Right, I understand.
So in the end, the reason to bring that whole story up, is it's cursed.
Yeah.
That was one of many problems. A deer strike was another problem. Like a month after I got it back from getting the motor, in which they had it for the entire summer. And in GM's defense, they did try to make it better. They gave me a pretty good amount of money to keep the car, which was nice. They paid for the black wheels and tires that we had brought up. I don't know if it was before or whatever, but
That's what started this conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had bought those wheels and tires, and the lady said, well, look, we'll take the car back. I said, you're also taking the car back and you're paying me for the fucking wheels and tires, and I can't do a goddamn nuts. And they're like, all right, well, sir, I understand. I said, she goes, where did you buy them? And I said, from GM. They're real stuff. Like if you had a car and somebody stole your wheels and tires and you went back to GM, that's what you got.
But now, Mike, listen to this. Being that you have all these things happen, they probably won't happen again. So you're good.
I thought that was right. And then I hit the deer. And look, this.
No, I'm saying, what are the chances that you hit another deer?
Well, that's the other argument.
He just hit one the other day in his truck.
Yeah, I hit one the other day in my truck. I'm driving around. Boom.
Yeah, we're on the phone. He's like, oh, I just hit a deer. I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Wow.
Really sucks for the deer.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
You're really going against
or one of the hundreds of turkeys
the
in the driveway.
probability and statistics part. You're really tearing that up right now.
I know, and it's just what this is like, and I can equate it from a masculine side. This is kind of like you meet the girl and she's perfect, and you're hanging out, and like you're a year in, and then she steps out and does something wrong.
Oh wow!
It's never the same. That's how I look at that car now. It's never the same.
Or you unzip the zipper and
sell it and buy a GTR.
That's actually what I told you. That like once it gets
you can't
warm,
get rid of the vet.
Sure, I can.
The car is beautiful.
I don't care.
Take a picture.
And so is the nicest girl in the world. And if she's cheating on you, what good
we
is
have a
it?
picture of it on the Power and Speed.
Well, the
for
other one's
Facebook.
pretty too. So you'll still have one pretty yellow Corvette.
I don't know.
You can put the black wheels on a convertible. That would actually look
You mean
good.
the older one? They're both convertibles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
But do you mean
on the
older one?
older
No,
one.
they don't fit.
Of course not.
No, they're massive. They
Why
don't
not?
fit because they're three.
humongous.
Yeah, they're 345 or
Right,
something.
they're like
back
11
tires.
11 and a half inches wide.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge. So, but anyway, back to this whole we're going to race thing. I have no confidence in that car at all. I mean, I'll probably shift it on the floor and the trans will fall out. I don't even know.
Okay.
I just, but
Now,
I mean,
if you
we'll try it.
if you step away from the Subaru, it'll give you some confidence.
No.
You might want to keep
No,
it.
he won't care. It'll just give him ammunition for me.
I will go on record and say that if we do this and we both hook, it's
Well, I have all-wheel drive, so I'm going to hook.
he'll hook. And mine will hook too. In fairness, it's pretty good. It's
You have
got,
traction control too, don't you?
yeah, it's useless. You got to turn that shit off. I can do better than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
They'll slow you down.
Yeah. That particular set of tires that's on there, it's a Pilot Sport Pro or whatever they come with. They're pretty fucking good.
They
I mean,
are.
I drive down the driveway, they sound like slicks. They
Right.
just pick everything up.
Yep, they're good.
Wow.
So my prediction is that when we're like going down the road, like with you in the Cadillac, I'm going to be looking at you driving away. Like you're just going to be pulling on me. You're going to be like with that stupid look on your face. That I think he'll get me. I think he'll get me.
So, not to change the subject, but we need to change the subject. Tell me about this rocket bike thing that you guys all saw that I didn't see.
Oh wow! Mike sent it to me.
Because we're doing a car show, we're going to talk about a guy on a bicycle with a rocket motor attached to it.
Going through, I don't know. All I saw was he took off with the rocket bike. It's a bicycle, and you can tell it's a rocket motor because you see the coming out the back. You see his feet dangling. I
Yeah.
wish people could see my hands. And his feet are dangling with no control. This guy does 207 miles an hour
On a bicycle.
Bicycle.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty damn crazy.
And his shutdown area, he didn't hit the brakes or anything. His shutdown area had to be over a mile.
The way that I found that is, and this is another thing that we're going to have to talk about. It kind of puts you and Tom, Crunch and Tom, at a disadvantage because you guys aren't real big fans of Top Gear. But Jeremy Clarkson got canned, or as they say, it's sacked. I guess that's the British way of saying things.
I've actually
that
been
shit-
following since you showed me that those couple that we watched, and then
Yeah.
you were going to make me a hard drive with it. That never happened. But
That's your guy, right? That's the main character. Got canned.
yeah, I did like it.
He punched some dude in the face, a producer.
Okay.
And I mean, in fairness, he told on himself. He told the BBC that he had a fracas, as they say. I thought it was fracas, but
Yeah.
they said it's fracas. I don't know.
He also did donuts in one of the cars into the shape of a penis, which didn't help his cause either.
Yeah, well, that
right?
was oh no,
Yeah, that shit was funny, man.
they've got a lot of funny stuff, and that I think he got in a mild amount of trouble for that one. Like,
that couldn't have been easy to do, by the way.
no, but they're a TV show. They probably could have done it 5 or 6 times or whatever.
It's funny.
I don't think he went out there
funny.
and drove a dick and balls like just in that.
In one take?
No.
You're
Imagine the amount
probably
of
right.
practice that takes.
Yeah, yep.
Maybe the Stig did it.
Might have. But so I was looking for information on that, and somehow or another, it says man embarrasses Ferrari, whatever series it was, on bicycle.
207 mile an hour.
And I saw that, and I'm like, man, about what he do, piss on him or something? You know, like when he pulled up next to him. And then I saw underneath it 207 miles. I said, I have to look at this. This is, and
It
it's
was amazing.
a guy on a bicycle that's powered by a rocket.
I think natural selection will get him sooner or later.
I mean,
That's just dumb.
I looked at it pretty good. It's a friggin' bicycle.
A real bicycle, 2 wheels.
That's pretty cool, though. For some reason, it's pretty cool. Maybe not.
But like Crunch was saying, at the end of the drag strip, first off, when the thing turns on, the acceleration, I don't even know how he could stay on the thing.
Yeah.
It moves so quickly against, like, quote unquote, the Ferrari racing that's ridiculous. And then they showed him coast at the end to shut down, and he coasted forever.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, he couldn't hit the
long
brakes.
time.
no.
Those little rubber puck things.
Yeah.
They would just go flying off, caught in the spokes, and kill the guy.
Did you watch now?
I watched it like once real quick. I was doing something.
Was he German?
Probably.
I think he was German or Dutch or something. I don't know. Crazy.
Some weird
motherfucker.
kind of European thing.
Some crazy European.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm pretty
But
sure
the Top Gear thing, not to beat a dead horse, but I'm kind of bummed about that because Mike did show me a couple episodes, and the one was really funny.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't
They've
he
got
in
hundreds of
He was
moments.
in a boat. He was in a hovercraft.
A hovercraft, yeah.
And he couldn't control it. And I mean, it was really well done. And then, so Mike was going to give me a season or 2 or whatever. And then we find out that thing's going off the air.
Yeah, and it's
We could do that show.
Well, speaking of the bike going 207, you guys, I heard you earlier talking about a roller coaster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that roller coaster.
Well, yeah,
that leads into Tom's whole
my whole
Dubai
trip.
trip.
Yeah.
And Crunch didn't want to bring it up, but I got to bring it up.
Oh, boy.
He brought back these little sodas. These are the funniest things in the world. Like if you drink a man-sized soda, I would have to order 24 of these. This is and
honestly, I think the rest of the world, I'm not even kidding. I think that's how they do it in the rest of the world to not get fat. You want a little soda, you just have a little soda.
a little soda. You're not kidding.
That's what it is. We'll put a picture up on the Facebook page.
That's like
No, I mean, you could hide that in your hand.
It's like 5 ounces. They are cool.
it's a neat little packaging thing. I said to Crunch before. I said, well, now you know why the ISIS people are all pissed off. They're thirsty because this is.
Oh, geez, bad joke.
It's not bad. I think it's pretty funny. This is. I never seen anything like this. They're cute.
They're like that in Europe too.
Well, if they, I wonder if that's why the Russians look at me like I'm an idiot when I get a big giant Diet Coke.
Probably,
Never even thought about that.
but you're not fat. So, but most of the Americans are because everything's supersized. But that's another show.
Yeah. Other than your sodas,
Yeah.
any highlights? I know the roller coaster sounds pretty damn neat.
Well, let's talk about the roller coaster first because, and it was actually one of the last days I was there. We went to Ferrari World, which is it's an amusement park that is owned by Ferrari, and everything looks like Ferrari. They're Ferrari F1 cars, and all their current vehicles are there, and everything's a zillion dollars for for souvenirs. But they have a roller coaster that you take off using a steam catapult. And it goes 0 to 150 in 4.8 seconds. It's by far the fastest roller coaster in the world.
Insane.
It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Really cool.
That's
So,
that's
You got to
equivalent
get a
to
note from your doctor before you take
a
that.
6-second car in an 8.
Yeah. Well, no, it's equivalent probably to a high 4-second car in the 8th.
Wow.
Yeah. Or a 5.0 car in the 8th.
Right.
I mean, pretty badass ride. But yeah, a lot of stuff went on over there. I went over there to judge an engine building contest. That actually was pretty cool.
And I'm laughing because I know one of the story. How did the vehicle selection go to do the work on the vehicles?
So a couple months ago, I got with the only GM dealer in the Emirates. He's the big shot GM dealer, and tell him we need 2013 trucks. We didn't want to do direct injection stuff, so it couldn't use a 14 or a 15. He's like, yeah, I got 60 of them on my lot.
Now I don't want to knock you off track, but
That's
I mean
okay.
we should just take a little side note here and say the contest was they had to build a motor and put it in a vehicle.
Yes.
They had to take a motor out of a vehicle, build the motor out of the stuff they were provided already, put that motor together, drop it in a vehicle, tune it, and then measure horsepower.
Yep.
So
10 runs, best average, wins both engines.
So we're talking about two identical trucks.
Two identical trucks.
Okay.
So
Continue, sir.
we get there, we go out in the lot, we look at the trucks. One's red, one's black. No, I'm sorry, they're both black initially. We walk over, we open the hood on one, look at the mileage. It's a nice truck. And I might not have told you this. One guy with the U.S. team, Roy, he's like clairvoyant. We're walking over to the second truck, and he goes, it'd be funny if this one has a supercharger on it. And we opened the hood, and the thing had a supercharger on it.
Wow.
So, and the deal was we had to use truck intakes and everything. So now this thing doesn't have an intake. We're looking deeper and deeper, and it's got injectors. It's got all kind of stuff. It had a turbo at one time. It's got a Cathedral Port LS engine in it with a supercharger in 2013. So it's on probably its fifth engine. And I actually got the story in the end, what happened with it. But so now this thing's got to go back. Now we got to scramble and find another truck. They can't find one. One's on the way. It shows up. It's a cab and a half. So now the exhaust system won't fit. They send two more. We end up 5 trucks. Finally drilled down to 2.
Wow.
One red, one black one. And it still really wasn't right because I believe the red one had way less mileage on it. So like the black one that the U.S. team had like 129,000 kilometers on it, and the red one had like 70,000 kilometers. So now we're thinking, if the transmission slips a little more, you're losing power. And we never thought of that. Like
I never looser rear end.
anything.
Pinion bearings have no preload left. The thing will roll like for 2 miles if you push it.
Well, that would help it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but the loose trans would hurt it. So, but anyway, it all worked out in the end.
But what was your solution going to be if you couldn't get 2 trucks? Because that's what cracked me up more than anything.
What about using one truck?
No, it was getting 2 identical vehicles.
Man, I don't even remember. Bear in mind, I was talking to you at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. There,
I know. I know you were talking about renting.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that came up actually. I forgot about that. They I just buried the meter, by the way.
That's all right.
They talked about, and listen, when you go over there aren't a whole lot of rules for anything, by the way. So they were talking about literally going to the airport and renting 2 Camaros and taking the motors out and putting these motors in, doing the deal, and putting the motors back in, and then returning the rental cars.
Wow.
And that could have happened.
And no one would have really known.
Probably not unheard of.
Well, the only downside to that would have been all the sponsors that gave up, Cooks gave headers and a couple companies gave exhaust systems. We actually had a choice between 3 exhaust systems, 3 air intakes, camshafts. There was a bunch of selection to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So if you roll up with Camaros,
Right.
you don't have exhaust systems.
Yeah,
all the sponsors.
which would have been okay, but then you couldn't use the sponsor stuff. So it would have been bad.
Right.
So it ended up working out okay. The American truck didn't have oil pressure when they fired it up.
Oops.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Sucked. But, we listened to it and changed the sender, put a mechanical gauge on, still had no oil pressure. But we're doing burnouts in the parking lot and doing eighth mile hits and, things not blowing up. So the guy who was running the show comes to me. He's like, hey, what should we do? I'm like, manager, we should run it. It would have blown up already. Okay, we will run it. So it was cool. The American guy won. He won by like 10 horsepower. Actually, the guy from the Emirates was really good, really cool. His mistake was he wanted to drive the truck on the dyno, and it was a dyno he'd never driven on. And his first run, the truck kicked down into second gear, and they had to abort the run, so he only made like 400 wheel. And when you're running for average, you can't have a bad run.
Yeah, no,
you just can't. So
How do you I mean, see, now, and that's something. I mean, you don't want them to shift on a chassis dyno.
No, what they do normally is they write a little program for the TCM
Okay.
to lock the thing, and it'll lock the converter up at 1500, lock it in third gear so it won't kick down.
Right.
But neither tuner wanted the dyno guy to put that transmission tune on their map because tuners just don't want anybody in their maps.
Right.
So they had to let the dyno guy. In the end, the dyno guy drove the trucks because he had the most experience.
Right.
But the first run for the Emirates guy was, kind of screwed him. But he was close. I mean, it would have been close, but he still would have lost in the end.
Yeah.
Although, if the U.S. truck if it would have blown up, which it was in the end sounded like it might.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we know what happened to it. But if it would have blown up, he would have lost because even with the aborted run, a 0 run or a blown up run would have killed his average enough for the other guy to win.
Yeah. So the competition was based on a 10-run average. So
Yeah.
1-0
Yeah, kill you.
F's up the whole thing.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
Yeah, true.
That is a tough way to judge that, too.
Did they figure out
Having
the
10
oil
good-
pressure situation?
No, because the motor's on display. Actually, we got offers on the motor immediately after the show. Everybody wanted to buy it just because it was, it's the winning motor. And
Right.
They didn't see the oil pressure gauge.
no, yeah, and they, they were going to sell it, and I was the one that had to say no, we can't sell it because it's got an issue that's got to be dealt with. But
At some point, not for this one, but we're gonna have to talk about the Engine Masters thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's,
we do.
We can map that into a show. That's
that is cool. I wanted you to do that in the worst way.
yeah. I don't have time for that.
No.
Don't care.
No,
What do they do? Take the top engine builders in the country?
They pick engine builders, or I don't know if you get invited.
no, they
or
don't get
apply.
No, you apply.
You apply.
But
Okay.
we'll talk about that again. I got to say one more thing. I put it up on our Facebook page. So I'm in downtown Dubai, and we're driving around, and there Bentleys, Ferraris, every kind of car you could imagine. Actually, I got a picture of a Porsche Panamera.
The 4-door.
Yeah, that actually had felt on it. It had a wrap that was like velvet.
So it was a fuzzy car.
I touched it. I have a picture. I walked right up to it, and I'm like, this is the craziest thing ever. Literally, like felt like
a
velvet.
felt wrap.
Yeah.
Wow.
It actually looked cool. But anyway, so we're driving around downtown Dubai. It's 1:00 in the morning, and I'm in a beautiful 70 Chevelle.
Yeah,
Cal
I saw the
SS,
pictures on Facebook.
Cal induction. And I had to post that. I'm like, I'm in Dubai in the middle of the night driving around in a 70 Chevelle SS. Who'd have thought? But it was pretty cool.
Sweet.
And that was the guy that he was the competition in the engine building deal.
He was the guy from over there.
Yeah.
That was the competitor.
Yeah, he had that car there. He had a Chevy Lumina, which is available there, and in Australia it's like a GTO, but it's a Chevy. There's some cars over there that are available that should be available here, but GM is just
Like all those V8 supercar platforms from the Australian V8 supercars.
well they have one car. It's called the Grange. It's like the Chevy SS, but it's 100 times better looking. Unbelievable car. Like I'll show you guys pictures.
And we can't get them
after
here in the
show.
States?
No.
No?
Nope.
Wow.
Well, I guess what's the Australian thing? Is it a Holden?
Holden, yeah.
Now is that the brand name? Like it's the GM brand name?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Holden, I guess their one car is a GTO, or was what we had over here at GTO, and the GTOs came over here. They
Right.
sold like dog shit. Like nobody wanted them.
Well, their car was a Lumina, and it came here as a GTO, and they changed what the back end looked like. It looked like a Honda,
Yeah.
and that's why nobody wanted it.
It
In
wasn't
my
really,
opinion.
for what it was a very plain looking car to me.
It was a good value at the time because it made some good power, and but they were just ugly. I mean, it looked like a Honda with an LS1 in it, or an LS2, or whatever. I think they had both.
Yeah, because they had them down the road at the dealership from the old shop. And, I used to see them, and I was like, it'd be pretty cool. But they didn't look like anything.
No,
Yeah.
the front end wasn't bad. The back end was just awful, really
No.
bad.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff in other countries car-wise that we can't get here. I mean, a lot of things. Like I'm telling you, like, look,
You remember the movie Mad Max?
Yeah.
And they used to have that car. I still don't know what car that was, that black one.
I
Was it
bet
a
you Alan
Ventura?
knows.
I actually
Was it a
don't.
Nova? Was
I
it-
actually don't. I knew it at one point, but I've
A
long
dork
since
fact,
forgotten.
and you don't know it. Come on, dude.
I just like the clutch on the supercharger. I always thought that was kind of dumb.
Oh, the switch.
Yeah.
I think somebody told me that might have been an AMX.
AMX.
I think it was an AMX.
I'm just gonna look it up.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think it was an AMX. I think it
thought
was a
Nova
Holden
or-
Commodore, but I'm
or
not sure.
Ventura.
Well, Tom's going to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
But and look, we're car guys, and this is
Right.
not particularly one about drag racing or grudge racing or anything else. But I got to throw in there, man, those V8 supercars, the racing. If you get a minute and you're home and you're flipping through the channels and you see V8 supercar racing, they're not like NASCAR races where they race like 500 miles and they're on for 7 hours so they can jam as many commercials in as they can. This is
Right.
It's kind of, I want to say it's more of a sprint race. It's a shorter time frame race. Those guys get it, man. They are everything that NASCAR does wrong, they have done right. NASCAR should look at their series, look at what's going on, and they should try to bring that format over here because the racing is incredible. There's a ton of contact. It's, not contact, but just it's aggressive. It's nothing like NASCAR over here. Watch V8 Supercars if you get a minute.
Aren't they all like road races too?
Yeah,
like,
the road races. They're incredible. And honestly, some of the best cup races are the road races.
True. Those are the ones I don't miss. I miss a lot of the circle track stuff, but I don't miss the road races.
Well, I haven't watched one, a cup race. And I don't think I've watched, I know they're started this year, but I used to watch them constantly. We used to watch the dirt track car on Sundays and watch the cup race and we were done. Don't care about either of them, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Did you find out?
I have no idea what this car is.
I think it's an AMX. I thought I remember somebody telling me it was an AMX.
Like I said, I'm about 90% on a Holden Commodore.
Well, then why when I asked you didn't have an answer? You usually got an answer for everything.
It took a minute for the
That's Alan, the engineer.
jump forward in my brain.
All right, now back to a street racing thing.
Mm-hmm.
That just reminded me, since you were in Las Vegas, you actually watched two idiots race on the strip.
It was like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm going from one casino to the next. And I was just crossing over the bridge, and there's these two jackasses in like Mitsubishi Evos, I guess, just drag racing from a light in the middle of the night in Las Vegas. And I thought of you guys
on the main strip.
on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Wow.
A lot of times there it can be fairly deserted. Like the streets will be a lot more empty than you think. If you're not at a trade show time, and I mean, there's really an ebb and flow there. So there's some times I've been there like after trade shows that you're like, what happened? Like you think there was some kind of Holocaust.
Yeah, but it's really never a ghost town like some of the short towns here.
No, but at 3:00 in the morning, that's probably where a lot of people.
It wasn't deserted, but it was at least not as busy as it was during the day.
I like walking up and down and seeing the rental cars that you can get.
It's a Ford Falcon XB.
Oh, okay.
GT Coupe.
Okay.
Well done, sir.
Ford Falcon?
Yeah.
A Falcon from Ford.
Yeah, but it's in Australia. It's probably an Australian one though.
Yeah, probably
it's
an Australian
newer.
one.
Yeah,
I wish it was something in the Chevy.
yeah, but it wasn't.
Crunch, what did you do this week? Past anything?
I don't remember yesterday pretty much, but I think I'm just doing regular stuff. On Facebook, arguing back and forth on the No Time page. Herring from Pastime calls one of the radio shows for the Grudge Racing for Cash guys. He calls the show. He's on the show explaining how he has history in grudge racing. All his customers were grudge racers, and they had a race somewhere where they didn't have a deposit. They didn't have a DP man, and the guy's car broke before he even staged the car in the lights. So unless you stip, the race money is in effect. There's no race.
Right.
So the guys felt like they wanted to get paid. The pot. The man never even put the beams on. He never even rolled through the water box.
Really?
Right. So it was a big argument. Whatever happened, the guy says, quote unquote, he says he was in fear because it was a crowd. So he paid half of the pot to the guy just to keep him quiet.
Right.
So everybody else feels like because it was for TV, they did all of this just to make it something dramatical for TV. Now this is the new show, the House of Grudge that we
So little bit of not real controversy
already coming in, and then Herring needing to call in to the guys that actually do it for support, and it wasn't a good week.
Okay,
for,
well, I got to go back to something here, and here Mike gets to hate a little bit. Yeah, boy, I'm miserable. I really am.
Mike, you're not hating. This is an opinion.
No, I'm fucking miserable. I mean, there's so many things. Like I'm driving down the road and things happen. I'm like, I got to talk about that, and then I stop and think, and none of them are any
So
good.
this is like therapy for you.
Might be. Might be. I don't think it's helping. The radio show he went on, is that a radio show or is that a conference call that they broadcast on the internet?
Just a regular blog talk show.
All right, so it's a conference call on the internet. Just a little bit of hatred towards that medium. I
tried to find him, and I can't get a phone number.
Really?
I mean, everything I call is disconnected or some shit.
All right, well, look, the last time we put an episode up, like 900 people listened in Oklahoma.
Yeah, somebody.
So
that's almost Texas.
Yeah, well, no, and Texas was even higher. I think the week average in Texas was like, over like when we post an episode, that's where you see a bump.
Yep.
I think Texas was like at 700 the day we posted. So there's, look, somebody call in,
Yeah, get us a phone number.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to one of these guys and see what's going on. Now,
we're actually pushing for House of Grudge to be what we need, like to give us our fix and to give us our the realism that we want and that we know. So I'm hoping that they stay on that path and give us that.
I think it could be discouraging that you already have a story about something. I mean, and look, let me just clarify here. This was a race that the guy paid half of the pot because he was concerned for safety because of the amount of people around.
Yeah, at first they were on Facebook saying that the guns was drawn out. And I'm like, you don't, this show was being taped there. So if the show is being taped there are police there. There's a presence. So after it was all said and done and the smoke cleared, the truth came out that they were taping the show and half of that stuff didn't even happen. No guns were involved. There were plenty of police there. The guy didn't have a DP. He paid up the money. Who knows where he got the money? So it just went crazy for me. And
there was no stip.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to say that.
No, but
it sounded cool.
Listen,
there was no stip.
From doing all that stuff, that's important. All the stipulations of the race are important.
Yeah.
How you're going to come, how the race is scheduled to go.
You got a stip,
whether
say it again, Tom.
You got a stip,
breakdown rule in effect. There's a lot to that, and those are things that I'm sure that in the real grudge racing, not saying that what they're trying to do isn't real, those things are all pretty well covered. I mean, nobody wants to get to the track, do a burnout, and have their car explode, and then they lose. So I mean, if you think that that's a potential, you try to cover yourself for it.
Got to cover everything,
right?
Yeah,
and you can't win a race if you don't do a race. I mean, you can't win a pot if the race doesn't take place. That never happens unless you stip that earlier. Like, look, once we go around this wall, all the money is in effect. If you break or back out, you lose all the money. And who would do that? That's what a DP is for. A deposit is for. Whatever might happen, you just lose your deposit, which is usually 10% of the pot.
Right.
You don't lose a whole pot.
Right.
Or pay half because you're afraid of people at the track and you got police presence there. So it was just a little far-fetched.
Yeah, something's a little fishy.
Yeah,
there.
I'm watching.
I would say if it got to that level where the guy felt threatened at the racetrack, that would have to mean that I would, again, much like my hatred on street outlaws, not being, I'll say, responsible in environment.
Right, or real.
Right.
Or real.
Sorry.
They could be a little better at policing the environment.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You don't, look, racing in every aspect is... I had to stop myself. People are like, did Mike have a stroke? No, I had to stop myself.
I'm proud of you,
I was going
man.
to say testosterone fueled, and that will lead me into a whole nother argument I had with a female over the weekend. But we will keep that one because I don't need women hating me that badly. But it is a testosterone kind of aggressive,
Right.
For lack of a better term, male dominated sport.
Right.
They're hostile. When you're racing, and now you take just not only the sheer act of competition, you take financial involvement,
gambling, tempers flaring, egos.
I wonder if women will listen to this.
Give me a little bit of time. Probably not.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Mike has a bunch of women listening because they just love his style.
No,
and he has 2 yellow Corvettes.
That's true.
Come on.
That works well over at Hunt.
Oh no!
I would submit that if you're going to have a racing program that also is going to involve the aspects of gambling, you better well provide a pretty safe environment.
Right. Well, each racer is supposed to, when you go out of town, you protect yourself.
Yeah.
When you go places, you don't go places and start trouble. We've been all over. We raced for $50,000, $100,000. We don't worry about that aspect of it because you're dealing with the people in that area that control that area too. Just like when they come to our area, we're responsible for them. So
Right.
we have to make sure that they're okay when they come to us. The same thing works when we go out to them. So it's a respect level. And then once you see that happen, and now it's the first or second episode on that, don't take the TV show.
Who provides the food?
The food,
That's important to me.
Actually,
Apparently, Tom is hungry.
No.
I'm actually hungry too. I'm sitting there.
What the fuck is wrong?
Dude, I could just
Hey, Mike,
picture a
that's
race
on
in
the
North.
list.
I could picture a race in North Carolina with some badass ribs.
Well, guess what? Guess what? When I went to Fairfield recently, Mike Castellano from Western Beef provided the food.
See,
Mike Castellano.
See, they even cover the catering.
Yeah, so he provided.
So I'm
food.
not wrong. There you go.
And Mike's
Mike's
he's
just shaking
actually
his head.
he's actually a great cook too.
Yeah.
And one time I was eating lunch with him, and he pulled out the grill and everything from the side of the motor coach.
Yep.
And he started cooking, and he said, "Sit down, we're going to eat." And I couldn't believe what I was eating. I didn't even ask what it was. It was so good. It
Didn't
was
matter.
great food. So yeah, just so you brought that up.
It's funny because Scotty Godano he's from Florida. He's actually got a really fast car. He was telling me the same story.
Is that the street racer?
Well, he's an outlaw. 10.5. I think he's X275 now, but I believe he is the fastest nitrous car in the world right now. At that weight, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm forgetting how fast he went, but he went fast.
And he was telling you about food at a racetrack.
He was. He's a New York guy, man.
We're just talking about the safety and how you should conduct yourself, and then you're like, who brings the food?
You're just bummed out because you're not as nimble with subjects as I am.
Nimble?
Nimble's a real word.
Okay.
It's not on the list.
Do you think, Crunch, that over time here that maybe this is going to be trying to figure out how to frame this question?
Oh boy.
Do you think that as the older guys of Grudge and street racing are falling out and the younger groups coming in? Do you think it's taking a turn of less respect, more respect?
Possibly. I could see that happen. Like the older we get, we're seeing, even in music. If you look at music, where's the music that the young people use to catapult them to the future in a positive way? A lot of that music is gone.
Yeah.
Like we don't hear that good music that changes your life and makes you want to do better and have a family and this and this and that. So I think the same thing in grudge racing, when the guys that know better are going out and being phased out with age, because we're getting older, you don't do the same things. The younger guys are coming in and they don't have the tutelage and they don't have the same grassroots, and it just is it's hard for me to say it, but they're being taught to be ridiculous.
Well, I think that overall, as a race,
Yeah.
not black, white, Hispanic, nothing.
Right.
As a race, I think we're getting,
Not as a race, as a country.
as a country,
As
we're
a
getting.
country?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look what's going on over there. We're soda can area, but to the other side. I mean, there's more aggression everywhere.
Everywhere.
And yeah, I that's why I was kind of wondering because
But in grudge racing for cash, all of these years, this was the one thing I saw. Many races, white, black, Hispanic,
Perfect.
Asian, everybody came around
Absolutely.
and had fun, enjoyed themselves, respected each other, and did what we do.
Yep.
So that's a perfect example. And for a show to come on, and then you start with the, certain group of guys felt uncomfortable with
I know.
security, and it wasn't true. I really didn't. I didn't respect that.
Yeah, see, and that kind of bothers me because I would hate to think that, not that like we want to say that street racing or grudge racing is so honorable,
Right.
but a lot of mutual respect goes on there,
Yeah.
and
A
like
lot of good people have to do something that's not necessarily legal on the street.
right.
But even when we're at the track, everything is legal at the track.
Yep.
What you're doing is, you're just gambling.
I just wonder about like the and that,
Well, time out.
Yeah.
It's not legal to track either. Gambling.
well the gambling.
It is.
Well,
It's not illegal.
yeah. Now, what's the deal with that?
No,
We-
it's
at the
illegal.
track.
Hold on.
It's illegal.
It's certainly
the money part of
illegal.
it's illegal.
Hold on.
Absolutely.
but isn't that what we talked about last time that you could make the wager? I could make a
Right.
wager between me and you, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
That's okay. It's
But
the third party
The third party can't get a
buy-in
rake.
that makes it illegal.
That you can't be the house. The house can't get a cut. A third
Yeah.
party
A
can't.
third
get a
party
cut.
can't get a
I'll
cut.
go with that.
Yeah,
But you can make a
I have no
wager
idea.
between two people on a football game.
I guess.
Yeah, that's legal. It's not illegal.
and I think football polls are
You can
legal
go to
as
Atlantic
long as the
City
guy running a poll gets no money.
Really?
yeah.
I don't think any of it's legal unless the state gets tax money from it.
I know
That's
quite
what
a
I
few.
think.
I know quite a few degenerates.
You're supposed to claim whatever you won.
Yeah, I'm pretty
You
sure.
claim all yours, right? Now they should see your face.
I'm pretty sure that this.
What were we talking about? Sodas cans?
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
Did they say when that show is when the show is gonna be on?
it's like the wheels have completely. fallen
I know.
off.
I was trying to drag us back to it.
Alan the engineer saves the day.
It's on. Tom and I, ironically, we just talked about this when we were trying to find it. What is it on?
Mav TV.
MAV TV.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We don't-
Are
none
they
of us-
already airing?
We don't get it.
I think I can get that, like on the satellite, but I don't have it now. No.
Oh, you're a dish guy or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you might actually get it.
Yeah, it says it's on Dish and Direct and those, but
Okay, well, I'll check it.
it's on
That-
Comcast in some places, just not here.
Okay, that's the channel. It's Mav, and are they already airing? Or
I don't know.
I don't believe so, but I mean,
how would you know? Yeah.
I would think if they're airing, they would be pushing it hard on their Facebook. On tonight's episode, come check. And I haven't.
They're probably putting a bunch. They're probably shooting a bunch.
I would think they're probably going to do like a season or so. And
Well, we'll wait and see. My fingers are crossed. I want it because I need to have something like an outlet on television. I don't sit down in front of a television and watch TV anymore, unless it's a reality show, which we found is not really reality. So what do we have?
I constantly
Watch the Housewives of Atlanta.
Do you really?
You do?
No, I said he could.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you did.
No.
It's like one of you idiots. Who was it? Anthony talking about watching Friends. What the?
Well, yeah.
I've never seen Friends.
he
Me
took
neither.
he took it pretty hard when he said that too.
Yeah. Well, I end up gravitating towards documentaries, things like
Sesame Street.
once in a while.
No, that's me.
That's where Alan started his complex math foundation. I end up watching stuff like that, but like from a car perspective, as much as I hate on Street Outlaws, I like watching the
Yeah,
cars. I
right.
like,
Me
True,
too.
true.
I
like
mean,
the shows like Troy Trepanier used to have one. Foos, those type of shows where they take a car.
Yeah,
it's
Overhauling.
just sitting there.
Overhauling was pretty good.
Yeah, Overhauling was pretty good. You're just sitting there, nice, normal looking car, and then somebody gives it some creativity, and it turns out to be amazing.
Yep.
and
I like
some of
stuff
those
like
shows I liked. Some of them they get too wacky. Like,
yeah, like the one where they had to prank the car owner rather than just tell them we got your car, we're going to make it nice.
Well, that was Overhauling. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, okay. Because I always had to get up and get a coffee when they started pranking the guy. He's like, I don't give a shit. I
Oh,
want
they
to see
told me
the
the car
car.
got stolen, and then
Yeah.
the family redid it.
I didn't mind that.
Some of that stuff was really emotional. I mean, guys who just couldn't afford to fix them, and they got them for 30 years in the driveway, and then to have a guy come in and change it to what it became, it was like, wow.
I know. I always wanted
No.
that to be me, but
Those guys, yeah, me too.
That
But
never
those
worked out.
guys do really make some neat looking cars. Fusa and Troy.
Yeah.
Just like the bike guys too.
Yep.
The bike guys were really going back and forth.
dude, that was
Orange
another
County
thing.
Chopper.
You know what? Sorry to interrupt, but I got to bring that up at the show. When we had the engine build off on the other side of the convention center, in with our show was a biker build off. One guy from Germany versus a guy from the Emirates. And I'm just saying this because it was so cool. The guy from Germany won. Both bikes were ridiculous. I mean, it was funny because, the convention center in Vegas, they don't let you do anything.
right.
They're over there welding, they're soldering, painting. Dead serious. They built complete motorcycles.
So here in the States, they won't let you get that creative right there on the spot.
Hold on,
weld
Crutch.
inside.
Let me.
I've never been to one, so
Let me explain to you how bad this is.
Go ahead.
All right. So one of the first times I did one of these trade shows, I had a dolly
to
to put my shit on to bring it to the booth
push it to the booth.
because this is before my brain wasn't working back then. And I'm like, okay, I'll ship all my shit to my hotel and I'll put it all in the car. Then I'll carry it all over to the booth, and I'll carry it in. We'll get a couple guys, we'll carry everything. Then, I realized how much shit I had. I said, I need a little dolly. Went to Home Depot, got a little dolly. I get to the door and the guy's like, you can't come in with that. And I'm like, one of the first times I was there, I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you can't use that. And I'm looking, I was like, what do you read? He's like, you have to hire a union person to do that. Are you effing kidding me?
Can't use a hand truck.
If you can't carry it, it can't come in.
Yep. That's true.
That's how screwed up our country now is.
Yep. That is true. And you know
Same
they
thing
they charge it by the kilogram or by the pound or whatever, and it can cost you, if you got a couple thousand pounds, it can cost you like $1,500 to get your stuff from a door like 500 feet to your booth.
Yep.
Just because it's a union state.
Yeah.
And like the reason I brought that up is because I could see something so fucked up here happening that, yes, we're going to allow this to happen for a car show, but you have to have a union welder, and he has to work for Freeman or whoever the exhibit
Right.
company is, and
Right.
you got to pay him, and he's got to weld what you tell. I mean, that's how
Right.
messed up this stuff is.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
But they wouldn't do it anyway because people might see the light and go blind, or the fume emission, whatever.
So you're saying over there they were welding right there?
Right there, Weldon. But anyway, the bike won primarily because it was fuel injected. The other one was carbureted. But the coolest thing was, to start it up, it had a thumbprint reader on it.
Oh, a reader on it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that sealed it for everybody. When the guy, he programmed his own thumb in it and just touched the little thing, and the thing started up, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" And the crowd voted.
That's high tech, right?
That
there,
was
bro.
really cool.
I mean, how big was that show compared to, say, CES or an automotive show like PRI?
It was like 55,000 square feet. It wasn't terribly big. Volume wise, it was good. The attendance was good. The parade, we were in a parade that was 500 and some bikes and 300 and some cars. It's 11 miles from the convention center to Yas Marina.
right.
And when the first truck, after all the bikes went, when the first truck hit the drag strip to turn back around, the last truck was just leaving the parking lot.
Really?
So it was pretty cool.
This was huge.
Yeah, it was big.
It's a big event.
It was big.
Maybe next year I'll try to get over there.
I told you should come, but you said no, so I picked another guy already.
Oh, to do the No.
Oh, you just want to come and hang
Yeah,
out?
I don't want to have to work.
What would you do there?
You got to sell one of
I-
those vets for
I-
a plane ticket.
I get a fucking rental car and drive around.
We go racing
Oh, cool.
with the
Try
rental
to-
cars.
You should go. That would be fun.
Pick up a
No, you see that you can't do.
what?
The women,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
you can't.
Why?
Alan.
I don't because
No high schools?
Stage left. Stage left. Stage left.
All right, we are running off the rails right now.
Wait, I just want to. You can't talk to him.
No, you're not supposed to even make real eye contact with them. You can't hold your hand out to shake hands unless they initiate.
How do they ever have kids?
It's prearranged.
Oh, okay.
A lot of it.
Man,
Going in untreaded
Culturally, it
waters.
is very different.
very different.
You know what?
Yeah,
the people in the
you have to
Emirates
respect-
are good people.
Right. And you have to
Yeah.
respect. You have to respect the regions.
Absolutely. I don't hate on about that. I'd be the guy to end up over there getting caned or something because
Yeah, you would. You would. Absolutely. But you would deserve it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's been fun. I don't know how much we actually covered. I guess
Well, we're not supposed to cover anything. We're just supposed to talk about
I
cars
felt
and have
good
fun.
about that one. Yeah, you're a car guy.
Car
with
guys talking. That's what we do.
Yellow Corvettes.
Yeah, 2 yellow Corvettes, 1 piece of shit.
Have fun. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks, guys.
As Mike mutters off into the distance.
Told you I'm miserable.
Say goodnight, Mike.
Good night.